and welcome to the Intel Brief. Today is Tuesday, 5 August. I'm your host, Daniel, and today we're going to talk about the US is going to require a bond of up to $15,000 for some tourists. Australia is to buy 11 warships from Japan, and the UK and France to ratify a migrant deal. So firstly, some tourists visiting the US will soon be required to sign bonds of up to $15,000 under a new pilot program launched 2 weeks ago. The program, proposed by the State Department, is aimed at curbing the number of visitors who overstay their visas. Consular officials have also said there will be 3 options for visa applicants subject to the bonds: $5,000, $10,000 or $15,000, but will generally be expected to pay at least $10,000, the notice said. The bond requirements for visitors coming to the US have been proposed at a time when the Trump administration is cracking down on undocumented migrants. So what? Who on earth is paying this? This is crazy. This is wild. Imagine on top of your holiday money, you need to pay $15,000 in a bond that you will then get back presumably like weeks or months after you return to your home country. That just seems wild, and it's only going to work for like the ultra wealthy who likely don't really need it because they probably could just get a golden visa or some other citizenship. It's very strange. It's highly likely this is just going to destroy the US tourism market, which is already struggling from everything I've read. There's reports that Las Vegas specifically is absolutely crippled at the moment with very limited internal tourism, and then also international tourism being decimated from Trump's rhetoric, and people just don't feel comfortable or safe traveling to the US anymore. The idea of getting, returned at the border, even if you have a visa, is enough to put most people off. But yeah, I don't think I'll be visiting anytime soon. Sorry, Ray. And next, Australia will upgrade its navy with 11 frigates from Japan, the Australian Defence Minister said on Tuesday. This is clearly one of the biggest defence industry agreements that the country has ever struck between Japan and Australia, he said. The $10 billion Australian dollar deal saw Mitsubishi Heavy Industries awarded the tender to supply the warships, beating out a German supply group. Japan is one of the most important partners in the Indo-Pacific region, the minister went on to say, with the frigates being advanced warships equipped with a potent array of weapons and radar. So what? This is a great move by Australia, boosting the size of their navy at a time when maritime competition in the Southeast Asian region in the South China Sea is extremely high. However, it'll be interesting to see how these are equipped for a modern, like the modern battle space with, the rise of drones seen heavily. Whether these ships will be equipped with like a bunch of drones that could be launched from it or other platforms, as well as counter UAS systems, especially drones designed to destroy battleships, as we've seen in Ukraine. Some small little suicide drones can do significant damage to large warships at a fraction of the cost. But yeah, great to see the Australian Navy expanding their size. Next, they're going to have to deal with the recruitment problems that all Western militaries are facing. So yeah, that will be another challenge to overcome. But I'm sure there's some way of achieving it. But no, it'll be cool. Hopefully New Zealand will follow suit and boost the size of its navy, but I wouldn't be holding your breath. And lastly, Britain said that it would begin implementing a deal to return migrants who arrive on small boats from France within days after the treaty was agreed, a key part of Britain's plan to cut down on illegal migration. Prime Minister Keir Starmer and President Emmanuel Macron announced the one in, one out pilot scheme on the return of migrants last month, and it was ratified in the UK yesterday. Under the New Deal, France has agreed to accept the return of undocumented people arriving from Britain by small boats in exchange for Britain agreeing to accept an equal number of legitimate asylum seekers with British family connections. The treaty scheme was signed last week but not announced ahead of Tuesday's ratification, likely due to people kicking the fuck off in London. Starmer, whose popularity has fallen in a fucking massive way since winning the election last year, is facing pressure to stop the small boats crossing the channel, with populist reform leader and Brexit campaigner Nigel Farage seeing a massive boost in the polls. So what? This seems like a pretty good deal, like the returning of illegal migrants in exchange for legitimate asylum seekers with British family connections. That seems like a pretty good deal. However, I do wonder what the British family connections are. Are these going to be other asylum seekers who have already made their way to the UK and got asylum here? If that is the case, I can't see people liking it very much. But yeah, I don't know how much of an effect this is going to have, but hopefully it has some, as tensions in the UK are rising rapidly, even in the last few weeks, with large-scale protests near asylum hotels all across the country. I believe there was a protest in Birmingham over the weekend and in London and Canary Wharf. So yeah, there's some significant pushback against illegal migration into the UK, with growing number of people wanting to just get rid of all the illegal migrants in any means possible. So yeah, good to see Starmer making some kind of deal to stop this problem. And this might also stop people wanting to pay to cross the channel if they're just going to get kicked back within days. We'll have to see how it goes. Thank you for listening to today's Intel Brief. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you again tomorrow. See you.